Now, last night we had a major severe weather event, multiple strong tornadoes in the Oklahoma area, a big derecho in areas of Kansas, and as we're continuing past that, multiple days of severe weather is expected to continue, already highlighting days of enhanced and moderate risks of severe weather. Let's go ahead and get right into it. And now hello everybody, my name is Christian and welcome to Skycast. And as I was saying in the introduction, multiple days of severe weather has already come. We had a moderate risk of severe weather yesterday, so we will recap on that a little bit, and then we're going to start getting into the future where we have multiple days of severe weather already being highlighted. Let's go ahead and get right into it. One thing that I would like to announce as well is that we have bought the Radar Omega Radar Sweep feature. So that's what that little ding sound is, and that's what this little white bar is. It gives kind of live radar updates, and it kind of sweeps around the radars. So quicker updates for live streams and things like that. So that is one thing that we have done that will hopefully help during live streams. And so if we're looking at past radar data, right here where that black circle is where we've seen not only some tornadic storms pop up, but as well as that derecho type storm, and that's where that moderate risk of severe weather was. And it was not a big tornado event, but for the most part, it was a big wind event. You can see as we continue through, a big kind of supercell popped up. What did go tornado, warned for a little bit, and then that is when the derecho set storm kind of started to connect. You had this area forming back, which had very damaging winds. This one that was producing big hail. I think I did see a report on that with hail of up to 2 to 3 inches. And then as you get into the more afternoon hours, it kind of bounded together, and that's where you got that strong bow echo segment for those damaging winds, that large hail, and a couple tornado warnings. But for the most part, it kind of died off, and it didn't produce anything too crazy. Now, one thing I do want to back up and go through that is that over down here in Oklahoma, chaos unfolded. As everything was happening up here in Oklahoma, a lot of us were monitoring this cell down here in Oklahoma. The derecho was up here in Kansas. Down here, though, a big supercell popped up. It was tornado warned, produced multiple wedges. You can see as we zoom in just a little bit, you can see that visible hook echo on this storm, and I'll get to velocity in a second. But it continued to produce tornadoes all the way into Oklahoma City, and it produced even a brief tornado in Oklahoma City before eventually it moved out and it died off. But this was a big hailer, so hail was seen in excess of about 2 to 3 inches. You can see that white there, that hail core there. And that's not exactly that it produced 3-inch hail. It's just that there was so much hail so close together that the radar was picking it up as it being that much hail. So very big hailer as well as that. And then we had storms fire off back here, which weren't exactly severe, but they did attempt to, once again, some damaging winds and a little bit of hail with those as well. And right here, I am going to let the velocity scan play out just a little bit. Let's go ahead and pause it and see that. If we zoom it back just a little ways, you can see it kind of started being tornadic as it moved across the border into portions of Oklahoma off the panhandle. And you can see that first attempt at a tornado was right here, just to the northwest of Clinton, Oklahoma, and that's where it did wind up eventually producing its first tornado. Now, this tornado was north of Strong City, and then it continued off to the east, where once again continued with that strong rotation and eventually did lift before just north of Clinton produced another tornado, this one being even stronger. You can see that very big rotation with this. And this tornado right here is what caused a tornado emergency. North of Clinton, right here in this general area as this tornado continued through, is where we seen a tornado emergency pop up. And it was removed a little bit later. Was not expecting it to be tornado emergency due to just the area it was in. But there you see it lifted again, and then another tornado with that, the amount of rotation that was on that, produced another tornado. And now we're getting into a more populated area. Things are starting to be a little more concerned because you have Hinton. You're starting to get into bigger towns like El Reno, Oklahoma City. And then this continued on through, once again, kind of lost up a little bit, but produced one more very significant strong tornado through the area of Yukon. And as we were watching this last night, one thing that was really cool happened that I do want to say is that as this tornado lifted, it produced another tornado on the rear of this. You can see that was your first tornado. That's the one that lifted, and then it produced another elephant trunk type tornado right here. So very weird event that happened, and this was in a 0% tornado threat. So for that to have happened, it kind of goes to show that even though the forecasters have that forecast, you always got to be on alert. Eventually, as this did move into Oklahoma City, did produce another brief tornado before eventually lifting, and then it died off as it moved out of Oklahoma City. So it was a very scary event for the most part there. So that's kind of the recap that we're looking at today. We're looking at more severe storms as we continue through today and in through the next couple days. Let's go ahead and see what we're looking at. Now, today we're looking at a severe weather risk and enhanced risk to portion of Nebraska, Colorado. Slight risk stretching all the way up into portions of Minnesota. And then we have this slight risk of severe weather through portions of the downtown Chicago metro. This does include Indiana, Illinois, and into portions of Wisconsin. Tornado threat relatively low. But we still have a possibility for there to be tornadoes. One area is going to be over here towards Colorado. The other area is going to be over here towards the Chicago metro. Mainly going to be wind-driven and hail-driven on the west set of these storms. But again, on that east side, we'll be able to see those there with that 15% risk. If we scroll down to look at the summary, the primary threat for severe thunderstorms today will be over parts of the central plains with large hail, damaging wind gusts, and a few tornadoes all being highlighted. And you can pause to read this hypnosis here if you like to. Relatively low coverage with this, so feel free to read it if you want. And here we start getting into day 2. Day 2 is on Tuesday, tomorrow, and this is what I've been watching for the last little bit as a major day of concern. National Weather Service highlighting a moderate risk of severe weather through portions of Iowa, Illinois, an enhanced risk anywhere from Minnesota down into Missouri, and then a slight risk stretching and a marginal risk stretching all the way through Oklahoma down into Texas. Not going to be tornado driven. As we're looking, that's not the reason why it went moderate, but this is a 10% significant tornado threat. I would not be surprised if this gets upgraded. Treat this as a moderate tornado threat, a moderate driven tornado threat. It's going to be a significant event either way if it doesn't have a fail mode in it. You're going to see those 45% with that significant wind, so we will have some pretty significant wind gusts in excess of 50 to 80 knots, possibly even higher. And then if we go to hail, hail is also that 30% significant, not a 45 just seeing for wind, but we do have that 30% significant towards the more western side of this threat. So, strong tornadoes, major damaging wind gusts, and large to very large hail all looks likely. Severe storms from Tuesday across the Midwest, especially including portions of Iowa and Missouri into Wisconsin and western/northern Illinois. Tornadoes, a few strong. They are highlighting strong tornadoes. Damaging wind gusts and large hail are expected, and due to the sheer amount that's here, this is a fairly long hypnosis, so feel free to pause and read that. One thing that I do want to show is the CSU model here. CSU is an experimental thing, so take this with a grain of salt. But we do have a 15% of tornadoes by them highlighted, a 30% of hail probability highlighted by them, and then a 45% wind highlighted for them. So that is kind of what they're showing. This is not meant for forecasting, but I did want to show this off to kind of show, how strong some of the models are predicting this to be. This is an upper level event, so please take this literally, take this likely. And then we get into day 3, where the National Weather Service has issued a slight risk, a huge slight risk from anywhere from Ohio, the Great Lakes region, the Ohio Valley, all the way down into portions of Texas. The probabilistic of this being severe is a 15%. Severe thunderstorm posing a risk for damaging gusts and hail will be possible from central Texas into Ohio Valley vicinity on Wednesday. Notice as they're not highlighting tornadoes to be a huge threat, as for the most part just wind and hail. So this is not expected to be an upper level event tornado wise, but we're going to continue to monitor this just to see if anything changes. And if you want to, you can pause to read the hypnosis here. And then once again, we are back at it in the plains. National Weather Service has issued a 15% confidence for day 4. This is going to be on Thursday through anywhere from portions of extreme southwestern Missouri, southeastern Kansas, includes most of Oklahoma, Arkansas, a little bit of Louisiana, and some of Texas. Not expected to be too widespread as of now, but that can always change. And you can pause to read that right here. National Weather Service is highlighting, for the most part, the National Weather Service with this is also highlighting an aid for extreme instability through this area, which is why, for the most part, this is being highlighted as that 15%. Now, one thing that does look good at tomorrow's moderate risk is that everything should be throughout the day. As you can see, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, these strong thunderstorms move in. That could be a little bit of that severe risk, but not going to be your main concern. Your upper level concern is going to be these storms. In the afternoon, where we do have kind of these stronger areas of kind of discrete storms, and that can be very helpful for severe development. And by the 8, 9, 10 o'clock area, that's going to be moving through. And then by 1, 2 in the morning, these storms are going to be fully cleared out. So like I said, throughout the day, mostly into the evening hours, not expected to be too much into the overnight though, which is a good thing. So besides that, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure to follow my Twitter link in the description for live updates on things like that if I do not wind up being able to get live. Thanks for choosing Skycast. Make sure to look at the updates just to make sure something doesn't change in your area. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.